So first of all, we're going to be talking to Kristen Weaver of the Wilson County News, also Lavernia News, and Go Wilson 360. She's the Director of Operations there. Welcome, Kristen.
Hi, thank you.
And second, we've got Allison Case from rockawave.com. She's the digital editor there.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us, Allison, or thank you for coming on. So Kristen, let's do a quick teaser here. What is it that you're planning to talk about thank you everyone for the hellos. If you could just give us a quick elevator pitch on what you're planning to discuss today, let's kick it off there.
Sure. Yes, so we have created 3 special directories on our website for helping businesses come back as those have been happening, and we'll be talking about that and how we structured it. Also, we have developed a package program for our Facebook Live with the audio article feature. So we'll be talking about that and what we're doing. And then last, I will be mentioning the Facebook grants, local media grants that we worked on and attained a little bit about that.
Awesome. Great. And just so that everyone knows what's coming, second we'll be talking to Allison. So Allison, can you walk us through some of the projects that you're going to be talking about today?
Sure, my pleasure. This morning we'll be talking about our online directory that we created to support local businesses within the Rockaway Queens area, and also an innovative use of GoFundMe to support both our frontline workers and our food insecure of the community.
Beautiful. Okay.
Thank you.
Really looking forward to hearing that. We had an interview one-on-one with Allison a few weeks ago where we talked about this, and I just thought these ideas are so creative. I wanted to get them out there in front of everyone. So, okay, we have no questions yet, which is good. Let's just dive into it. So, Kristen, would you be able to share your screen at this point? Let me see if I can invite you to do that again, make you presenter, so we can see your website and just talk about this, because with these conferences, my goal is to make these things as actionable as possible. So we really want to dive into the details of how you did this, so people can take action and do something similar if they want to right away. So go ahead and walk us through your project.
Okay, so the first directory we thought to create on the website was the restaurant guide. So we created this little button here for our COVID-19 updates and information located, and so we tucked it away right here. We have the restaurant guide. And what we did was, you can see that there's a nice map feature and a search bar here, which we're able to go ahead and incorporate with the guides online. I used the category feature in MemberPress to create the restaurant location, and then I gave them this little icon for those businesses, and you can see that we're putting the special services that they're offering. It was curbside, a lot of the curbside and the pickup, and now it's moved into even now they're announcing dining situations. And then when you click on the business, on the restaurant, then it does pull up a little bit more about them, again, showing them on the map, and you get your address, phone number, website, and information like that.
Excellent. That's a beautiful overview. I just have a quick question here, just for our listeners. So this is all on our WordPress platform, and you're using the GeoDirectory plugin for this, correct?
Correct. It's called Places in your dashboard.
Right. So just like creating an article, you would go into the dashboard. Can we actually just do that really quick and just show everyone? We go to the dashboard, and then we're going to go down to the Places icon there, which is basically a type of directory. And look at this. He's entering hundreds of locations in here. And I actually wanted to point out, you kind of seeded this a little bit with our extraction service, right? Because we take the print ads, we turn them into profile pages. So you started with those as kind of a seed listing, but then you also added a lot of your own, right?
Right. Okay. So at first I worked with my categories too, in establishing which ones we were going to do this with. did a little work here and putting like I believe it's the category there's a category icon and uploaded an image. So those things
Right.
were part of, I think, making it look more attractive. And in just trying to keep it clean, I would always search for my business. See, where's that at? Kind of way over on this side.
Yeah, avoiding duplicates is often a problem people run into with directories, right? You want to just keep it really clean. That's not a good feeling as a user when you come across a directory that just looks messy. So this is something that you're maintaining, and it's clear that it's up to date. Great. So this is the profile page for the directory listing. So whatever you put in that or in that body, that's going to show up as a teaser on the index, which is nice. So then people can just kind of browse along without opening every single directory listing, seeing the information. They can just see the hours right there. Okay, and so you pretty much figured this all out yourself, but if anyone wants to do something like this, wants to set up a section or learn how to use the directories more hands-on, rather than just the automated way, just send ops an email and we'll definitely walk you through that. We can jump on a call. So let's jump back to the home page here and talk about, let me just check my notes here.
Yeah, so from the restaurant guide, then we created a shopping guide and followed the same format. What we did was we also launched it in our print edition first as well and alongside. We found that very important that we were cross-promoting on all our platforms. So of course, social media, and we've been continuing to do that. And another important thing that we did was reaching out to each of these businesses and try to scrape all that we could in our coverage area. For one, they were aware that we were doing this and, just building on that relationship with them. So we did each of these 3 guides, this one being the shopping, and then the personal services guide was the latest one. And we'll be working on others. Like right now, we're working on real estate as an industry that I want to see out there next.
Excellent. Okay. We have a question over here from an attendee, and I don't think you mentioned this, so this is a good one. Is there any cost at all for the advertiser to be in the directory?
No, there's not. This is a free service.
Yeah. No, that's huge, I think, to point out. Yeah, there's really no need to try to monetize this now because what you're doing is maintaining contact and maintaining the relationship with the advertiser. That, to me, is the biggest value. But then you're also really establishing a database of leads that you can follow up with at any time, whenever it makes sense to come back and pitch some packages to them. Is that basically the strategy?
Oh, yes, definitely. And it's establishing, you establish yourself with news through your community, and this is really important that we're working with businesses to establish ourselves there, that we're the resource for them. So really that hones that in.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, very cool. All right, I think just if I'm gonna try something a little bit different this time. Let's could we try bouncing back and forth between you two a little bit? So we're gonna save the audio articles and the package deal for when we come back to you, Kristen. Let's talk to Allison for a second, just because I want to see a side-by-side comparison of what she's doing. So let's see if I can get hold on a second, the control over to Allison, make you the presenter. There we go. So yeah, so you should be able to accept that, so you can, if you want to share your screen, otherwise I can share mine. No, that's good. You got all. Okay, cool. So this is another way that you're helping businesses. That's the goal here. So tell us about this.
All right. So this is our page of our Curbside directory and Sweepstakes. With so many businesses going through transition, we wanted to create a clean and serviceable directory for our residents, and also to provide an additional service to our businesses who were scrambling, utilizing social media, lots of well-intentioned but somewhat misdirected usage of media going out there. So we created the content to do this Curbside directory, cute little icon, which ultimately became a platform for local businesses to post themselves, for some, chose to include their menus, how to contact them, and so forth. And this became a index for many businesses to let people know when they were going to be open, when they were going to close, because there were certain businesses that needed to close temporarily to restock. Some chose to close to protect their workers and then came back. So we really became the indexing of a community. And, you know, the Rockaways is in a unique position since we've already shouldered a major disaster back in 2012 with Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy. Right. And we received a very engaged audience as a result of this. Folks who were very engaged civilly, and as a community that's largely populated with folks who are employed by municipalities, specifically the city of New York. This is just scanning up and down so you guys can get a sense of it. We knew how to mobilize ourselves to be able to save our businesses and to be able to pitch in, pay it forward. Many of these businesses were here when the storm hit. They did a lot for our community members, our residents, to help feed them when they were struggling financially. So the idea of being able to pay it forward was a tremendous collective on the side of the community, making sure that the businesses that they love were going to remain as COVID went through. There was a tremendous amount of support by the community to also not only attend to these businesses, to patronize them, but to take pictures of their purchases and share it online.
Nice.
We leveraged our social media to highlight each of these businesses, whether it was through stories, whether it was through Facebook. And our mode currently is to create sponsored content that features, you know, the messaging of "we're here for you," and a profile of the business that has supported us throughout all of this, and how they have supported the community in turn. To continue that level of goodwill and to know who the players were throughout this entire event. And for those who may have had to disappear, you know, certainly certain businesses needed to step away from their businesses for, you know, they had a shutdown for different reasons. And those who are coming back, we're celebrating them and featuring them in our editorial, amplifying it out through our website, and, you know, doing a big rollout in social as well. And it seems that those who have been home certainly spent a lot of time in social, as many of us have. So that has been a tremendous response mechanism through our community. Yeah.
Very, very cool. That's a lot that you're doing there. And it sounds like a lot of it is kind of based in this directory. Maybe this is like a starting point or an initial point of contact, right? Just send them the directory, the curbside pickup, have them put in their info. So that's interesting. This is self-service, right?
We did charge a small fee. I know that we spoke about the dollars, and that was more so just to make sure that our businesses kept some skin in the game, that they knew to come back to make sure that everything looked as the way that they wanted it to. We wanted to make sure that we're reflecting their messaging, what their desires were. Some wanted to keep it very simple, and that's perfectly fine. But we wanted to make sure that they had a hand in managing their editorial.
That's cool. Okay, got it. Yeah, so so you're doing a little bit more than just the directory listing. So, yeah, it makes sense with the time that's spent. So let's dig into this a little bit more, though. So Kristen was using the geo directory that's part of the platform, but you're using a third-party plugin from Second Street, correct?
That's right. That's right. Yes.
Yep.
And implementing it into the page, which seems to be pretty successful, because not only were we able to find out what the usage was, use of the page, but also begin to start to capture some data from our readership, get a sense as to who was there. So it was very interesting. It's the first time that I had used Second Street, and I was really very happy with the results of all of it.
Yeah, they do a lot of really cool things. That company seems to just understand marketing inside and out. They're doing all kinds of neat things with contests. So could you just scroll up really quick, because everything that we're looking at here is a widget that you just got some code from Second Street for,
Right.
and
It's
then
a template, sure.
yeah, we can put any kind of widget in these WordPress sites. So that's why I just want to point that out. So this is one example. Now here it is. I just want to point out. So this is really a competition. So people are selecting who they'd like to get a $50 gift card from, basically, right?
Right. They're lending us their email address and telling us who their favorites are, so that we can capture and ultimately award their favorite restaurant food choice.
Right.
And celebrate that with them.
Okay, very cool. Excellent. So yeah, I guess last question on this topic before we shift to kind of Act 2 of this webinar. So the social media component, can you go into that a little bit more? Like, what does that look like? Just like how could someone implement something similar, like if they wanted to try that? Is it just posting a shout out, like with a picture that they sent you on your Facebook page?
Well, we had collaborated with our local merchant groups, both the Rockaway Business Alliance and the Rockaway East Merchants Association. And we were able to strategize with them what businesses and what tone, what thoughts, what materials and so forth would be important to leverage. And that's how we came up with some of the strategies and created an editorial calendar around that. What were the items that each of these businesses were known for and beloved for that people would really respond to? And that's how we developed the social media component, utilizing the best photography that we could find provided by them, as well as, sometimes in their own words, what they thought about the community and why their business was important and relevant in times like this. And together we formulated those thoughts. We staged out social media several times a day, recognizing that there was a high amount of audience usership in social during this time. I think that a lot of people used it as a way to cope, to connect with people when they were feeling so much isolation. And just the idea of, having their favorite foods come through their door was a great sense of comfort for our community as well.
Excellent. Okay, very cool. Yeah, I think we could do a whole webinar on social media, because you guys both are doing really interesting things there. But just for the sake of time, we're right on schedule. I want to just now switch back. Let's move on to the second part of this presentation, which is going to be a little bit more about just creative ways to help advertisers, and also some interesting funding sources. So Kristen will talk a little bit about a grant that they've gotten and what she thinks had a lot to do with getting that grant. And Allison, we're going to talk to you about your GoFundMe program and just how successful that was. So back to Wilson County News. Let's talk about your digital only package where you bring together audio articles and Facebook Live. Can you tell them about that?
Yes. So from our Facebook page, you can see this is our videos. This one was last week. We started doing Facebook Lives, and it felt like we've dabbled with this over the years, but it felt like the right time as everything was closing down to reach people on social media. So we brought it back, and just starting with some quick chats with kind of ourselves, and then we thought of different community members. We brought someone on to talk about how to and show people how to put their masks on, and like good hand washing techniques, some things like that. And then had some feedback from some of our audience, like, you need to get a sponsor for this. So that's we went ahead and developed a sponsorship based on a package, which would be the Facebook sponsorship, where they're tagged in the promotion of it, as well as the Facebook video. And we, of course, mention them, and we have we came up with a sign later to kind of keep them in the picture.
Yep.
We went along, but we also coupled that with our audio article feature. So they were getting a multifaceted approach, and grabbing some different audiences that way to really help build more numbers with their reach. And so we've been doing, and we do them consistently Friday morning at 11:30. Kind of going back, we had a councilwoman on, and she was talking about, because they had just implemented a kind of a strict closure in our community, and they were talking to the community about what that meant. So that was well received. And then we started, once those restaurants started coming back to being allowed to be open, we brought on someone from a restaurant industry, and they talked about what their experience was, and then of course what they're doing. Then we brought our movie theater in that next week, and when the movie theaters opened, so it was kind of like tucked along with these changes that were happening in the community. And then just a different, like a little local retail shop here that we spoke with, and then we talked with our Drama Kids program. So it's been interesting. My favorite is talking to the businesses when we approach our Facebook Live that way. They're just so easy to have a conversation with them, and it's real exciting and for the community, for them. It's a real successful approach bringing them on. So
awesome. Yeah, I mean, look at this. You're getting 1,000 views on these videos. I mean, I don't think I've ever gotten 1,000 views on any video that I've ever done. But, I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that it's Facebook Live, and, then you get the real-time engagement. I mean, who knows what Facebook's doing with their algorithms, but I think that they definitely prioritize these videos. And if you think about, so they're getting more eyeballs, and so you're going to get more likes. They want people using their live feature. So that's just something to keep in mind. If the objective is to get in front of people and get the advertiser's message to them, it really doesn't matter how we do it. It could be a Facebook Live stream where the bulk of the content is just kind of reading off of the paper. I mean, I know you've done that in the past. Like, you can always use that as a content filler. You've got tons of content as a newspaper. You guys can just riff probably on the news and just use the paper as your guide. But another way that we're getting messages to people, maybe it's a little subliminal after a certain point, but these audio articles, the message is just read to them before they listen to the story. So can you show me an example of that on an article?
Yes.
How this works? For anyone that doesn't know, this is a new feature that we came out with in the last year. Kristen was one of the first to jump on it, and this is what it looks like. Okay. So go ahead and tell everyone what's going on here.
Right. So basically, in the system, you're able to enter your sponsor's name. It's really easy, the way that it works through MemberPress, to update this. And it's so automated. I love it. But so when I can play it, so let me just show you.
Let's see if we can hear it.
Audio articles on Wilson County News made possible by Sweepstakes convenience store, the luckiest, friendliest store.
Right.
Wow.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to hear. It's the volume's low, but that's okay. I think we got the idea. That's okay.
Okay.
No, so what happened there? What was said at the beginning of the audio?
Welcome to the audio article features made possible by Squeak's Convenience Store, the luckiest, friendliest store around. So you're able to put a few more details in on what's actually read or spoken through the audio. And of course, but it's so important that visibility is there too, that they're getting both of those things. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of small on the screen for everyone, but there's a little ad, a text ad above it that says audio articles is brought to you by Squeak's Convenience Store. And then in the ad, it reads that message plus a little bit more, and then it just reads the article off, the headline and the body. So this is an area that we're interested in, because there's more and more people listening to podcasts and audio, and this is a great way to make content more accessible to anyone. A lot of people just prefer to listen to things than read if they have the option. So I think, as we were talking the other day, you were saying, like, this is something that we can do. So you know, and it's really not expensive for what we're doing. I mean, transcribing every article that's published on the site, you know, it's $75 a month for us to do that. And so, you know, what you can get in terms of the sponsorship. So would you be willing to share like what you, just to get some numbers on things that people are always asking me, how much this ad package is for the audio ads and being on Facebook Live?
Right, sure. So we are charging the sponsor $400 a month. It's kind of based on a 4-week month.
Right.
So because we do the Facebook Live once a week, and we do think in terms of weekly because we're weekly publications. That's the reason
Sure.
for that. And
Right.
and yeah, so then what I did was presented to, the way that we got our sponsor was we put an email together and sent it out to our advertiser email list and said, are you looking for a creative way to reach an audience or reach people? And we threw in the numbers of, with the audio articles, we see about 300 per week. People using it about 300 times. And I grabbed that weekly number with the Facebook Lives, which they range between 1,500 to 2,000 per Facebook video, and just kind of the combination of those two things. I presented just that, and then we had several bites. Businesses interested, and we got Squeaks first, and just kind of went with that number, and it worked for them. So I'm just calling it an introductory rate and just sort of seeing where that goes.
Yep. Okay, makes sense. That's a good baseline to work off of. Okay, so now let's talk about this grant, because it ties right into your directory system, I think. There's a connection there. So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in terms of applying to grants and what kind of success you've had there.
Yes, so the local media association and alongside Facebook, it's both things, both those entities working together. They had these grants, and they initiated it back in at the very beginning of all this happening. So we quickly reached out and we got our first one. And so with that, we got like we decided to go ahead and use it on some for technology, and part of this being reaching back, giving back to the businesses. And so we created these business directories alongside the print edition. So we used them in both places, and that's how we used the first. And then they announced that they were going. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Can we just see what you're doing for this in print too? Because I think that's a big part of this. You're repurposing this directory, right? And you basically display the whole thing in print. So you're spending all this time gathering it online, and then you kind of reverse publish it and have it in the print edition, right?
Yes. So I guess it would be helpful to maybe show you in the e-edition. Okay.
If possible, yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to derail this, but yeah, if I really wanted people to see this page, because it's like a full-size ad, and I just think you're making use of all the tools at your disposal when you do something like that, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think basically you did this, and sometimes things are a little slow when you have the webinar going, but you did this as you kind of release these special projects. So like as you came out with the shopping guide, you had it in print. Are you planning to print them again, or were they just printed first time to get people's attention and tell them to go to the website?
Yes, we are going to, I think we're still working on that concept, but like we're going to do, the next one is real estate. And I do see bringing these back. I think it's important that we continue to give our businesses these opportunities, and the more free services that we can give them, the better that they learn, how we can help them.
Right.
So this is the personal services guide that we put in print. Gosh, that's huge. How does that look? That's pretty big.
Oh yeah, you can change it to 50%. Yeah. There you go. That's good. Okay, nice. So something like this, like business card for each. Right. That's cool.
Let me see. Did I have this week? Only have the personal services guide. So the restaurant guide and the shopping guide looked similar to this style with a different header and design, but we basically have the same feel, and that's how I see the real estate will come along to be.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah, we should talk about the real estate, because that's something that we can set up so that we can set up logins for realtors to put in their own info, sort of like Allison's program where it's more self-service, and then you can just, edit it or moderate that. We can talk about that as that project gears up. But go ahead, sorry, to get back on the grant.
Okay, so then we went ahead and applied for the next phase of grants. They said even if you got the grant the first time, you can reapply. So we did, and this time we based it solely on a big section that we're going to produce, and we're calling it the comeback section. And I envision that to be coming out sometime in the middle of the summer, maybe beginning of August. And so this week we kicked it off and got this message out to our advertisers, starting with them. And it's going to be a big project because I can't just rely on them to tell us, but we're going to have to reach out to as many businesses as we can. But we're asking them to, they're welcome to submit their business information free of charge, and it will be, here's the grant that we got. I don't know if y'all can see that. And we're letting them know that that's part of this, and we've had a great response. So we immediately had businesses sending us stuff, and they're just trickling in right now. So on top of that, we're working on, I have a team of 2 that's working on contacting all of the businesses in our area. So I don't want to miss anyone. So
awesome. Amazing. Yes. I think that's the silver lining with all this stuff is a lot of publishers are reaching out to advertisers that they haven't talked to in a while. They're reconsidering things because maybe the budget's different. Maybe they want to do an online only ad for a while or something, but it's all about communication. So we do have a question here. I like this question, just kind of for both of you. And for starting these types of projects, is there any advice that you have for publishers that are thinking about these things but just feel overwhelmed at the idea of setting up a directory or applying to a grant or any of these things that you've done? Did you feel that way before going into it, and then once you kind of got it rolling, it was like, okay, this isn't so bad? Or do you have any advice for them on getting started, I guess is the question.
Well,
sure. In my experience, it was just sitting down and creating lists and then reprioritizing lists. Once I had been able to create a process map, if you will, figuring out how do things start, I could then branch out and figure what are the tentacles to those pieces. And once I had that visually set up for myself, the components just seem to fill in themselves, because it can get overwhelming. The idea of how much it is that you need to do. And if you get yourself hung up in how much am I supposed to do, then you're just going to cycle through. But if you have a clear map in which to definitively draw things, and that was my experience, the vision became much more easy to attain. Got
it. Okay. Yeah, just not letting yourself get overwhelmed by all the different things you can be doing. I know I can relate to that. Yeah. Just a short list and just focus on that next item. Very cool. Any other things to add to that, Kristen?
Yeah, I would say in regards to how we were affected by everything as it was all happening, it changed so much, like how we were doing things or the amount of just our workflow and how much was there. So we were immediately brainstorming what projects we could be working on. And by having this, then we were able to actually, it wasn't just one person, but we just started building it as a team. And when you have that team effort, then you can kind of go, okay, these guys, they're going to do this part. They're going to be doing all the reach out, and then we'll be doing the building. And when you have this, the kind of web service that we do through our hometown, you just have so many tools at your fingertips. You can just do so many things. But I would definitely see that team effort and just knowing how our business had changed, that we kind of had time to be doing some of the things. So
interesting. Yeah, it kind of allows you to reset and reevaluate priorities. How many people do you have working on this? This is a question from someone. To get a project like this, you said you have 2 salespeople going around contacting. Who else is involved on your side?
Right. It would really be the two ladies who are making contacts with the businesses, and myself doing most of the background work on it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, I would have like
So-
one person designing and doing the web stuff all in one is what was
Right.
needed.
Got it. Okay, cool. And Allison, I think for your program, you were pretty much able to just probably set that up yourself, right, with Second Street? Or
With
I know,
Second Street, yes.
yeah. So they helped a lot. They made it turnkey, and then it was
Right.
self-service. You could just enter the info, or they entered it for you.
No, I answered it, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Now let's shift back to Allison's screen here for the last little section before we open it up totally to questions. Now, when we spoke about this a few months ago, it was kind of early. It was like April, or early April then. And you were just launching this. So tell me about what you've done here and what have the results been?
Sure. Recognizing that grants were going to be a bit of a challenge for us to attain, and the competition in the greater New York area, I went back into my fundraising roots. Prior to coming on staff here at the Wave, I had worked with a national nonprofit, and I understood the importance of cause-related marketing. So we were able to create this GoFundMe program that we branded as Fueling the Frontline and Food Insecure, recognizing that the one hospital that's on the peninsula, as well as our police officers, all of our frontline employees, we're going to need a little support, and recognizing that there's a large proponency of our readership were experiencing unemployment, many of them for the first time. So we really recognized that we needed to celebrate on one side, but yet support on the other. And this GoFundMe program became far more successful than I had originally expected. Although the numbers on your screen right now reach up to $7,700, there were an enormous amount of private donations that came through the door that chose individuals who chose not to utilize the platform, and instead on their own had certainly sent in donations. So that was really exciting. And in totality, what we ultimately ended up receiving in donations totaled close to about $12,000. So although our goal was initially $6,000, and then we raised it again, as you can see on the screen, to 10, we then came in with 12. So that was a really exciting moment to enjoy. We leveraged our editorial and even utilized one of our covers. I think that's April 17th, to let people know as we were raising money, as we were spending money, we felt it was responsible to our readership to let them know where their money was going. So we would then create editorial around who it was that we were feeding for that week, take some pictures, write some copy, and then funnel that through our social media as well, Instagram and Facebook. We leveraged the Instagram and Facebook stories more so than the static posts. We felt that was more interactive in terms of communication, and we were very surprised at how engaged our audience was. It was something that we were trying. Everything seemed to be, an attempt and a try, and let's try something new.
Right.
And it worked really well for us, as folks were able to then share it as part of their story, and then again amplify it out to their audiences. And they felt a sense of ownership. Our readers, our users, as it was their money that, to much extent. And we even had businesses who were, had to shut down for a little while, made a donation, which was extraordinary. Those who could not, create revenue for their own selves, certainly tried, and were helping their own business community. So it was remarkable to see that type of effort become so dynamic within our little Rockaway Peninsula. So it was really, really a thrill.
Yeah, I just love this story so much. I've heard all different approaches to donations, and they're all super creative, but this is something that is benefiting just the whole community, And I just love how, you know, it's money just flowing to who needs it, but it's all within the community. You know, it's not
Right.
going to some, you know,
Right.
national corporation or something.
Exactly.
It's
And we were
here.
cautious to vet our sources for the food insecure.
Yeah.
As I said, I worked in the relief side right after Sandy had happened. So I had those established contacts within the community, and I knew where the money was going and that these were people certainly who were in need. So to have to, you know, qualify who had been on the receiving side of these services gave our donations a huge support and
Oh
gave
yeah.
people confidence and, you know, a sense of credibility, absolute credibility, that we
Right.
were doing everything that we had pledged that we were going to do.
Right. Right. Oh, that's huge. Yeah. I mean, when you're given to a charity, it's always just, you know, kind of like I want to give, but I want to make sure it gets to the right people. So that is really good insight. I had a question for you on this. So about how many restaurants were involved in this? Were there any specific restaurants that you went to, or how did you choose where to get the food?
Well, our first thought was figuring out who could scale. And
Yeah.
our first restaurant that we reached out to, catering hall known as Russo's on the Bay. They're quite famous throughout our community, and we needed to know who could hit the ground running. And we started this program just before Palm Sunday, and they were our first restaurant to support the program. And for Easter Sunday, we had enough money donated that we were able to feed the evening staff at our only hospital, St. John's Episcopal Hospital,
Okay.
for their Easter dinner. So Easter dinner was on us and the community.
Wow.
And we were able to write about that. So
Right.
within 1 week, we were able to raise, you know, $2,000 to make sure those folks who were experiencing some very difficult moments, and we were able to write about that as well and chronicle their moments and their journey.
Right.
And we covered it, you know, we featured it on the cover, which again continued to engage our community, our municipal employees, our firefighters, as you can see,
Right.
were out there standing ovation. And then it became the story of what were people doing in that moment.
Right.
You know, and then, as I said, we had, let me bring it down to page 20.
Okay. Yeah, bringing it back to the print edition. Okay, nice, with an editorial.
Right.
Beautiful.
Right. And a QR code that we created so that people could donate directly to GoFundMe, building out that editorial as best as we could.
Okay.
And I think we did a really very dynamic, you know, job of making sure that people felt that even though they were struggling, they were scared, it was a very frightening time, that we were able to take some of the mindset and create a positive moment out of what was a very uncertain time.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. So many examples of that, and I'm just so happy to see you guys doing this. You know, just with everything going on, I feel like it brings out the worst in some people, but it brings out the best in others. You know, so and obviously depends on the situation. So yeah, I think tying it back to the print edition, something similar to what Kristen's doing, but also doing the editorial, and you know, you guys really are the story in this case. So I think it's huge to, you know, just communicate that to people so that they know what you're doing and they appreciate you for what you do. So that's great. We talked about that last time in our last webinar, just the importance of editorials, you know, because publishing letters to the editor and things like that during this time where people are just talking about how important the newspaper is to them, just even that kind of self-promotional stuff is just things that newspapers aren't used to doing, I think, selling themselves to a certain degree. So I think we all want to be doing that. Okay, so we heard about the totals raised there. Okay, very cool. I think we're doing really good on time. We're about 13 minutes out. You know, we try to keep these under an hour. So let's, I'm going to try to pick up a couple questions here that I missed and weren't quite at the right time. So opening up to everyone. This is coming from Lynette Sowell. So thank you, Lynette. I think this is a really good question. People have been asking this for a long time. Do you have any suggestions to break through with a community whose businesses are hooked on Facebook for their marketing in the sense that they're boosting their own posts? And maybe they're not even paying Facebook any money. They're just running their own page. She says that at times it's difficult for them to even get a $50 ad buy out of them. And any thoughts on that? I mean, I know some of you are using Facebook, so that's kind of a way to fight it, is to just like get on there yourself and basically sell your audience that you have, rather than having Facebook sell their select audience. But what do you think?
That certainly has been a challenge for our salespeople as well. And while we recognize the entrepreneurship of what goes into a business's Facebook page, we remind our advertisers in a very kindly way that people come to us every day looking for the news. And because of that, they're finding us, and we have as many posts going on, they will find your business. And we much believe that with the use of sponsored material, that's going to drive their message even further. So our reach is, certainly wider. The audience is coming to us in a more dynamic way. And we are the media experts, and we can help you formulate your message in the best way possible.
Right. Exactly. Taking that back, which was always the role of newspapers. This is an opportunity to get that back, kind of let it go. A lot of papers have over the years. So, Kristen, do you have anything to add to that list from your live experience?
Allison, that was just right on. The only thing I would add from my perspective would be, I think that's why we're doing what we're doing, to give businesses free things. They like social media because it's free, Right. And then once you can have those conversations, it's so important. If you can point out to them, the way that Allison said it is a very good way. I like to give them the numbers. So, we reach thousands of readers a week, even if I say it like that. Do your posts reach thousands? I mean, you have to compare what it is they're trying to do. And I think when you can have conversations like that, just continue to have them and keep planting the seeds with those businesses that still don't want to spend the $50 or whatever it is. It's frustrating, but I think we need to, as an industry, we have to keep selling ourselves. Like Matt says, we don't do a good job with that, but those conversations and reminding them what we're doing. And I like to use the numbers when I can. I do think it would open your eyes.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, that's a lot there to unpack. I mean, that people like doing things for free, and so if we can, that's kind of Facebook's model. It's like free, get our foot in the door with them, and then just show them, they just click this button and they can get another 1,000 views by paying us $20 or whatever. So that's exactly what you're doing. You're setting yourself up. You've got the more personal relationship, so it's really different in that way. But I think just using this time as a way to lay the groundwork, and then go back to them with unique new offerings. So just sponsorships. I mean, people are just getting super creative with stuff. I'm so glad to see this though, because this has been a long time coming. I think a lot of papers have been locked in the display ad model, where it's just you create an ad and that's the campaign.
Sure.
We should be doing ads combined with native and sponsored content. Were you gonna say something else?
Matt, if you would, I'm sorry. If you would just turn the screen back to me just for a moment. This is something that has been very well received in the community. Yes. It's a Facebook post that we had put out there and had received well over 1,900 engagement. The views have been tremendous.
Awesome. So what is this? Yeah, this is a page on Facebook?
This is our Here For You program.
Okay.
And we're letting folks know that thanks to the generosity of the community, we've been able to be there for each other in an economic crisis like no other, utilizing hashtags and so forth. But creating a nostalgia moment from the business and then
Wow.
it's press branding.
I love that.
And a little bit of copy. You know, this is a little lower, but we have, let's see, pickles and pies.
Oh,
Okay.
so you kind of get a template and you're swapping out the business. Oh, I love it.
Exactly. Again, the imagery. We are a paper that's, you know, more than 127 years old. We have a tremendous heritage. So I like to tap in on that feeling of nostalgia at times, especially when we're thanking folks. You know, recognize that we are the undisputed leader when it comes to all things Rockaway and the information source. But also to recognize that they're pretty tremendous, you know, here they are doing such wonderful things for the community and highlighting them as well. So this cross promotion has been pretty successful for us.
I love it.
Between the shares and
Yeah.
It's just a gentle way of advertising for them.
Yeah, I've never seen something quite like that. I've seen plenty of people just throwing up a you know, a text ad where it's just basically a status update on their page saying, hey, shout out to, you know, the local diner, maybe a picture of them or something. But this, I mean, this is so well produced, and it really gives it another level of authenticity. I think that's very cool.
And the way that we're leveraging these ads, we're not just shooting them out randomly. We've had some pretty big stories here in the Rockaways the last couple of days. So the local stories, when we have a gut feeling that it's going to produce a huge audience. We time these ads roughly a half hour after the story goes out on Facebook. We link that, of course, to our website. And then about a half an hour later, will come this gentle, we are here for you messaging. So that seems to play really, it's a nice dovetail to the initial messaging.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Ever since you've joined the wave, I really think that you've brought this coordinated attack to things. You know, like it's you launch something in print and then you see it everywhere else in a way that's very deliberate. So I think that's amazing. These are, you know, before I forget, I never even did this in the beginning. Let's just get some context for you guys really quick, just for your papers. Can you give us the circulation and the print frequency, and maybe tell us roughly what your website page views are, just so that listeners can get a sense of, you know, how, I don't know, like the context. Like, are you large weeklies, medium? Let's start with Allison. You want to just tell us a little bit the wave? I think you're checking it there on the banner.
Yeah. Well, I can say certainly, you know, I'll bring you guys to the screen so that you guys can look at the demographics.
Yeah, just
okay. If that can be seen. Pretty much on a Friday morning when folks tend to visit with each other, the first part of conversation is, have you read The Wave? So pretty much, you know, knowing that our population tops out at about 114,000, I would say that we're capturing 80% of that audience in the comfort level. Our online audience has increased quite a bit. I would say it's an increase of about 10,000 users. But what's been interesting is that although we paywall, we see a higher rate of subscription and a deeper usage per page, you know, per user, if you will. So perhaps in the past it may have been 2 articles per user at any one particular time. Well, I'm now seeing between 3 and 5, which is a nice investment. And just to go talk really quickly, one of the things that we've been innovating with has been our newsletter, which you have referenced in the past. And we went from a text-heavy newsletter and instead, you know, utilized Canva to start creating a new version of our newsletter. Just bear with me for a moment. I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting to bring this piece up. And we'll go back to screen share in just a moment. So that what we're creating is a conversation.
Okay.
And utilizing the site, you know, with the date, there's a question is, with the school year winding down, do you feel schools should open in September? Why or why not? Creating a gravity form so that folks can, in a way that's not intrusive or where they're going to be argued, to enter their thoughts. So that's our graphic branding through. And then part of our, you know, our most important stories for the week are then highlighted in this manner so that our readers can then touch off there's opportunity for branding, advertising sales, as well as driving our subscriptions. So
love it.
That's been our, you know, one of our bigger innovations that have happened. We're also doing a daily newsletter for maybe topics that aren't in need of a full editorial treatment, but certainly are in people's minds, and continuing that conversation. I'm noticing just by doing some social watching, people incorporating those, you know, it's purposeful the way that it's being phrased, and to see our community engaging with our editorial in that way. So it's really interesting.
Beautiful. Yeah, I am planning on doing another conference on newsletters, so we should talk about this. I really like your layout there, and I want to get into those details, but we're almost out of time here, and I have two more things. I want to hear, Kristen, can you tell us a little bit about your papers, the size, just so we get some context?
So the Wilson County News, we distribute 8,000 now weekly. We are weekly, we're a larger community newspaper in Texas. In our website, we see over 6,900, I guess, unique users per week. We have over 15,000 Facebook likes, and we do have email newsletters as well. We have a couple, and we do offer like advertising through those. But we do say, I think we have like over 5,000 in email that we're working with right now.
Awesome. Yep. Okay. And it's good. Obviously, you do know your numbers because you are telling, well, in your mind, you have this audience, which is really all these different platforms. And so whether you're talking to an advertiser or, you know, just a reader about the reach that you have, it's all over everything. So, okay, that is very helpful to get that context. Okay, well, I try to keep these under about an hour, and so we're about there. So I just have something. Let me just share my screen for a second as we wrap this up. Let's see, make myself the presenter. And I think we hit most of the questions, but if anyone has anything else, drop them in there now. So right now, you should be able to see a little slideshow, right? This is our hometown.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be fun here. First of all, just want to thank you both very much to our presenters, Allison and Kristen. I couldn't do this without you, and I've been thinking about having you both on for a little while now, so I'm glad we were able to find a topic that makes sense for you both to join us on. Now, here's the thing. Learning about what you guys are doing for local businesses. I mean, we talk about it as a company, and we wish we could kind of do something like this too. We don't really have a central location, our hometown, we're all over the place. So, you know, you've really just inspired us with what you've done here, working out, you know, reaching out to local businesses and helping them and supporting them. So, Kristen, can you name this advertiser for me?
Oh, Pops. Okay.
Pops Ice Cream and Coffee, right? Okay, so that's your advertiser, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to do with this in a minute. Okay, and Allison, you recognize this oven?
Oh, sure, at Wits.
Yes, exactly. I've actually been there years ago. I love their pizza. So what we're going to do today, just as a small token of our appreciation, is we want to set up lunch for you guys today at Wits End, or, you know, if you maybe want to do it next week, whenever we can work out logistics. Oh. And Kristen, we're going to have a gift card waiting for you at Pops.
Oh, nice.
So, ice cream or coffee for the team, okay?
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Well, yeah, we're just, like I said, thank you so much. We really appreciate you both taking the time and everything you're doing. I'm sure we'll have you on the program again in the future. You're both doing really innovative things. And I think that's all that we had. And I think we hit all of our questions. So I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you again so much. And any parting words, or I don't want to just end it on you guys, but I think we covered everything. And Okay, cool. So we'll catch up with you later, and I'll shoot you an email after this, and we'll figure out the pizza and the ice cream. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care, everyone. Have a great Friday and a great weekend.
And to you.
You too.
Take care. Bye now.